Welcome back to Passport to Profit, the podcast that helps you design a life and business you love. No permission slips required, folks. I'm your host, Jeanie Colclough, travel entrepreneur, educator, and founder of Riveting Trips, where I help people turn their passion for travel into profitable businesses. In today's episode, we're going to talk about one of the biggest reasons why people don't chase their dreams, which is fear, right? Especially if you're a little bit older in life, later in life, and you feel like, I missed my boat, I missed my chance. And starting all over again if you're not 18 anymore. So whether you're 30 years old, 40, 50, 60, or beyond, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Take it from me. So if you've been thinking, am I too old to start something new? This episode is just for you. So in our first part, I want to talk about the real fear of reinvention, right? So let's start by getting real. Starting something new at any age is scary, right? My daughter just signed up for volleyball club league and she's scared. She's only 11, but I can see some of that fear and trepidation, but she in her face and in her body. But when she practices and she becomes more confident, and it's with practice and repetition that she becomes confident and says, hey, I can actually do this. And it's exactly the same thing for us adults. So when you've built a career, maybe even raised a family or are raising families, and you invested years into creating that stability, you've built an identity around it, right? About what you do. So when you start thinking about changing direction, becoming an entrepreneur, or maybe even launching your own business, it can feel like you're walking away from everything you've built. So I totally get it. When I first started Riveting Trips, I was in my 40s. I had a stable career as a teacher, family, steady paycheck, and everything, the community, the impact. But I also knew I wanted something different. I wanted to leave a legacy for myself, for my family, something more creative, flexible, and scalable, right? As a teacher, you are capped as to how much you can earn, right? Not in business. So I keep hearing this voice in my head that says, who do you think you are? Do you think you can start a business? It's too late. And I think those are the kind of demons that you have to push aside. So if you've heard those same voices, this is what I want you to know. That fear doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you're standing on that edge, that precipice of growth. And if you're feeling a mix of excitement and terror, congratulations! You're in exactly the right place. So what is that fear really trying to tell you? So one of the biggest mindset shifts I've ever made was learning that fear is not the enemy, right? It is not the enemy. Fear is data. It's a signal. It's your brain saying, we're doing something new, something different, pay attention, it's a risk. That trick isn't to get rid of the fear, it's to interpret it correctly and try to work and adapt to fear, right? When you're stuck in a job that doesn't fulfill you, that fear whispers, but what if it doesn't work out? But the better question you should be asking yourself is, what if it does? I've spoken with dozens of new travel advisors, teachers, nurses, accountants, stay-at-home parents, who all said the same thing before they started. I wish I had done this sooner. Because here's what's wild. Once you've taken that small step, the fear starts to shrink. Action is the antidote to fear. So let's think about reframing age as an advantage, right? Let's talk about something that people rarely say out loud. There's a belief that if you're not in your 20s, the entrepreneurial world has closed, right? Startups, all these people. I live in the Bay Area and you see startup culture and all these kids starting their businesses in their backyards or their garages. That is nonsense. In fact, research from the Kauffman Foundation found that the average successful entrepreneur is 45 years old. Why? Because by that point, you've developed wisdom, emotional intelligence, and more importantly, relationships. If you have spent decades in corporate life, or as a stay-at-home parent, you know how to communicate, manage deadlines, solve problems, and deliver value. Those are the exact same skills that make a great travel advisor or business owner. So have you raised a family? You're basically a master project manager already, right? I have to figure out my son's schedule, my daughter's schedule, my husband's schedule, my schedule, right? It's on Google Calendar. For me, if it's not on Google Calendar, it doesn't exist. So you know how to handle logistics, personalities, and budgets, everything entrepreneurship demands. So instead of asking yourself, am I too old? Ask, how can I use my age and experience to my advantage? When I started my agency, my age worked for me, not against me. I had credibility, I've traveled, I have life experience. I had a network of people who trusted me, my friends, colleagues, parents, and people from my kids' schools. And that's how I got my first clients, not through ads, but through relationships. So if you've built trust in your life, you already have a foundation for a business success. So let's think about ways to build confidence and move through those fears. So there are 3 ways that we want to focus on. Keep it easy and simple. Whenever I listen to some guru that tells me like 10, 15 different steps, let's not do that. Let's keep it simple. They call it KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, right? So if you're ready to move forward but still feel stuck, here are 3 quick ways to build that confidence, right? 1, start small. We're not going to build a mega billion-dollar industry. We're not building Expedia, right? You're building something that is sustainable for you, what we call a lifestyle business. So you don't need to quit your job tomorrow. Start learning, start exploring, talk to people who are in the industry, listen to podcasts like this, take a free course, more details about my free course below, and reach out to people who are already doing what you want to do. 2, surround yourself with possibilities. So fear thrives in isolation. So you have all that self-doubt, you talk to yourself, you question yourself, talk to other people who have taken like-minded risks and see what kind of information or advice they would offer. So when you're around others who are building businesses, it normalizes success. So in my family, some people are entrepreneurs, some people are not. If I surround myself and talk to other people who are entrepreneurs, the conversation is wonderful, it's enlightening, it's engaging, it's reinvigorating. But if I talk to someone who is satisfied being kind of like a cog in the corporate wheel, we're not going to understand each other, right? So they might actually bring you down, to be quite honest. So this is why community matters, and why joining a host agency like Riveting Trips can give you not just training, but a network that cheers you on. We're your biggest cheerleaders. And 3, redefine failure. Every entrepreneur has moments that don't go as planned. Totally. We make mistakes. It's better to make mistakes and learn from them than not to take any risk ever. So failure is not proof that you shouldn't try. It's proof that you did, right? Every mistake is a map. And the faster you learn, the faster you grow. So here's what I would like for you to take away from today's episode. You are not starting over. You're starting smarter. You're smarter than you were yesterday, right? You're smarter than you were 5 minutes ago. So if you've been feeling that pull to do something different, to create a career that reflects who you've become, I want to help you take that first step. You can join my free mini course, How to Start a Luxury Travel Business, where I walk you through how to transition from employee to entrepreneur without doing it alone. You'll find the contact information below or in the show notes. And in this episode, if this episode spoke to you, share with a friend who's been saying, I wish I could do something different. Sometimes that's all they need to hear. And I'm your host, Jeanie. Remember, fear is not a stop sign. It is a compass pointing you to who you're meant to become. And if you enjoyed this, I look forward to meeting with you and talking with you, and hope we can, help each other out. Ciao, ciao for now.